Right, let's get straight into it. UFC Fight Night Vegas 81, Yusuff versus Barboza took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelim opener of Ashley Yoder versus Emily Ducote. Now, I was glancing at some of these fights whilst watching the influencer boxing. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it ever again because influencer boxing is terrible and the main and co-main event were absolutely embarrassing. I'll have a lot to say about that in a second, but I was paying some attention. Emily Ducote got the takedown, landed the better shots, did more damage as well. It really came down to that. Ashley Yoder's now 8 and 9 and she had two really nasty cuts in her eyebrows. It was like she had like two sets of eyebrows, one the real one and one like a real sliced up version. And Emily Ducote was given the win by landing the better shots over 3 rounds. Reasonably active over the 3 rounds, the pair of them. But again, Emily Ducote was doing all the damage, landing the better shots. She wins this fight. Very well done from her. Women's MMA at its finest. We move on up the card. Chris Gutierrez versus Heili Alateng. I did watch this one all the way through instead of skimming at it. But I watched back the moments that I didn't catch. It's just another Chris Gutierrez fest. I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed by his style. I think a lot of people saw him beat Frankie Edgar, but with a knee to their face, and thought to themselves, oh, he's dangerous, this Chris Gutierrez guy. But he just seems to have these fights where he's just tapping at range to the legs and tapping with these shots to the head as well. And Heili Alateng's leg was really badly beaten up in that fight. But again, Chris Gutierrez won every round, got taken down here and there, but didn't spend much time on bottom position and managed to work his way back up to the top. In the 3rd round, he got taken down. I believe in the 2nd round as well, he got taken down. But at the end of the day, it was a Chris Gutierrez fest. And that's kind of what he's been doing recently. He did destroy the leg of Heili Alateng and win the fight clearly, massively outlanding at Heili Alateng in the fight as well. Like, Alateng would land a shot now and then, but it just wasn't clean enough to get any kind of knockdown or big sway of momentum in the fight. But yeah, Gutierrez does what he does. Taps at the legs, taps at the head, moves around a lot on the outside. Got the job done on significant strikes, 30-27. Good job to him. I picked him to win and he got it done. 2-0 on the card so far. We move on. Irina Alekseeva versus Melissa Dixon. I went with Irina Alekseeva because I thought she'd have a stand-up advantage. And to be fair, she kind of did. However, the problem was in this fight, it wasn't even really the takedowns of Melissa Dixon. It was more just the fact that Irina Alekseeva kept ending up on bottom position. And whenever she did, it seemed to be like immediately Melissa Dixon would get mount over her. And that's where she would start dominating. Now, it was a bit of a competitive round 1, but it was settled by the fact that Irina Alekseeva landed a massive right hand down the pipe as Melissa Dixon was going for a kick. And it ended up dropping Melissa Dixon badly. And then she swarmed on her, really messed up the finish by going into full guard on the ground rather than just landing ground and pound and staying out of guard or standing her back up. So she found a way not to finish that fight. Fair play to her. And then round 2... little bit of evenness on the feet. Melissa Dixon seemed like she had better conditioning out of the two of them. One judge. Crazy to me. 2nd and 3rd round, Melissa Dixon got the grappling positions and won because of that. She got the takedown. She got mount position. She got the back and she was just beating up Irina Alekseeva. Chris Lee gave Melissa Dixon round 1 where she was outlanded, out-damaged, and fucking nearly flatlined on her ass. What is he doing? He gave that round to Melissa Dixon. 2 rounds to 1 Melissa Dixon was the scorecard and what it should have been. I can't believe he didn't. It is what it is. How can you give round 1 to Melissa Dixon? Chris Lee strikes again. We move on. Up the card, Terrance McKinney versus Brendon Marotte. I did watch this fight. It was quick enough to watch. Terrance McKinney, 22nd TKO. This is how he wins when he wins. It seems to me that Terrance McKinney either gets a KO over one of these absolute cans immediately in the 1st round, or they survive it, or they're not a can, and then they go on to smoke him in the 2nd. It's the Terrance McKinney special is what it is. And McKinney did what he did. I think he landed a right hand-ish, and then it was a knee to the face up the middle. He sort of grabbed onto the guard of Marotte and threw a knee up the middle that landed right on his chin. It was the same one that he landed on Drew Dober as well. He's got a really good step in knee because he goes right up on his tiptoes on his rear leg as well to bring that height into it. And he landed it on Brendon Marotte, dropped him badly, finished him off with ground and pound. I think he took mount at one point as well. It was a really good finish from Terrance McKinney. Really wicked win. But can we see Terrance McKinney again take a jump up in competition? I know he's supposed to fight Chris Duncan, which was a decent bit of competition. Maybe he will end up fighting him anyway in December like they agreed to rebook that fight because Chris Duncan had visa issues and said he wanted to fight in December. And this gives McKinney a chance to fight again this year before the end, and that'd be good for him. So we'll see what he chooses to do. I wonder if he got a performance bonus. He didn't, but he did get a fed can, pretty much. So good for Terrance McKinney. Was expected, but he did what was expected of him. Unlike Tommy Fury, who won, but not in the way that he should have fucking won, did he? Jesus. We move on. Up the card. Tainara Lisboa versus Ravena Oliveira. Lisboa wins the fight. Gets more takedowns, lands more shots. I was really skimming over this one. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was skimming over this one quite a bit. Just an awful total strike fest between the two of them, where Lisboa was the one that ended up on top towards the end of the rounds and did more with the total strikes and landed a few of the better shots on the feet as well. Was just kind of a women's MMA fight in the middle of the card. There's nothing to really discuss here. If I missed something, let me know, but I don't think I did. We move on. Up the card. I picked her to win. She got it done. Darren Elkins versus TJ Brown. I did watch this. Well done, Darren Elkins, you know. Well done, Darren Elkins. In his other fights, he has actually looked like a geriatric old man. And don't get me wrong, he didn't look like a world beater in this one either, but at the end of the day, I was watching his other fights and I was thinking, man, he just looks like a lost, old, confused man out there. You know what I mean? He really does look like a lost, old, 39-year-old man. But in this fight, maybe he was injured in his others and he just felt a bit healthier for this one. His grappling transitions were better, and TJ Brown can grapple. You know what I mean? We've seen him grapple with guys, and we've seen him look good in the grappling with guys. And Darren Elkins just kept getting him down, kept getting dominant position over him, and would hold him there with like the back taken for the rest of the round a lot of the time and land total strikes from that position while failing submission attempts. So really good job by Darren Elkins. Got the rear naked choke in the third round as well. And did what he needed to do. He nearly had the rear naked choke in the second and even the first in some moments as well. So eventually sunk it in the third. And I think TJ Brown retired, and I think you definitely should. If you can't beat a 39-year-old Darren Elkins like I predicted you to at this point in your career, you're finished. So he called it a day. Good job to Darren Elkins, though. No shame for him. He gets another win at 39 years of age and probably gets paid a decent amount of money for it as well. So really good for him. We move on up the card to the main card. Christian Rodriguez versus Cameron Saaiman. This one was tough to watch. I was watching it as I was loading up the stream after the fights on the other one. Christian Rodriguez wins this fight. Round 1 can be Cameron Saaiman's round. Round 3 and 2 can't be Cameron Saaiman's round. I think that's what it comes down to. Round 2 definitely, because he just spent too much time on bottom in those moments where it counted. And I was like, okay, well, Rodriguez is ahead on damage and he's got him on bottom. And although Cameron Saaiman was going for the leg, he was getting hit at the same time that he was going for it. And I was like, ugh, he's having a bit of trouble here with the bottom position. Round 1. He can get round 1. It was competitive. Rodriguez may have landed the better shots, but I think Saaiman opened up a cut on him. So it was like, okay, round 1 can be Saiman's, but I wouldn't mind if it was Rodriguez's, honestly. Could win at 30-27, to be fair. To be fair, he could win at 30-27. But that was the only round that could have been Saiman's. Round 3, although Saaiman was landing in amount of numbers similar to Christian Rodriguez, the same amount nearly as Christian Rodriguez, he just wasn't landing the better shots whatsoever. And it was always moments where Christian Rodriguez would get him down, and on the way back up, he'd like tag him with an elbow around the guard or something like that, or tag him with a shot to the body and stuff like that. So I think Christian Rodriguez clearly won. No controversy there. The only controversy I have about this whole situation, this is 2 back-to-back prospects that Christian Rodriguez has beaten, and he's missed weight for both of them. Missed weight for Raul Rosas Jr. by multiple pounds. misses weight against Cameron Saaiman by 4 pounds. I truly believe if you're missing weight by over a pound for your fight, you should start with a point deduction. You can't come in twice in a row missing weight by multiple pounds. This one, 4 pounds weight miss, came in at 140 and then win a fight on that. Like, you're either not a bantamweight, which you are, by the way. You're just fat, so get disciplined. Because Saaiman was taller than him out there. But even still, get a grip. Make weight. Like, he genuinely should have some repercussion for that because he's ruined 2 prospects back to back. And who's to say that last not draining yourself to make weight for the last 4 pounds both times wasn't a factor in that whatsoever, while Cameron Saaiman and Raul Rosas Jr. are sweating themselves to obliteration in the sauna individually. Let's not get sass with it. Individually, sweating in the sauna really badly, dying to make weight. Rodriguez is like, man, I'm feeling a bit rough. 4 pounds off, I'll be fine. Didn't even look drained on the scale. Get a grip. Like, genuinely. That's unfair. So, that annoyed me about the whole situation. We move on. Up the card. Andre Petroski versus Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira smokes him with a straight right hand and then finishes him off on the ground. I picked Michel Pereira to win by TKO early. He wins by TKO early. A lot of people were a bit confused by that pick because Petroski can grapple, and it was like, okay, but Pereira, he might get out grappled and he's going to gas. But I'm telling you, man, it comes down to this. Welterweights are just flat out better than middleweights. I'm standing by that. They are straight better than middleweights. In every way, every category. They're the dominant force. Michel Pereira was landing front kicks to the body of Andre Petroski. I think he landed another shot at one point. I think it was just one front kick to the body he landed, to be honest with you, on Andre. And he landed a straight right hand right under the eye of Petroski, who goes down immediately. Like, the speed of it, he's never seen it at middleweight before. Drops him badly. And Petroski, I thought he might have been able to survive and try and get back up, but he must have been really badly dazed because he literally just hunched over and took the loss, to be honest with you. Really did. I think there's something, chat. Let me know if I'm right or wrong here. If you get hurt early, there's almost more of a chance of you being finished from it. Not just because of the power of your opponent. I think it's because your pain tolerance goes from like 0 to 100 immediately. And it's like too much for your body to handle. Whereas where you've already taken a beating in round 1 and 2 and then you get dropped in round 3, you're still in the mode of like, come on, we got to get through this. It's pain. I've felt this for the last 10 minutes. I'm fine. Whereas if you've like gone from no pain at all, full confidence, I'm about to win this easily, to bang, I'm on the ground and I'm dazed. All of a sudden, it's like the body can't. It's more of a shock to the pain tolerance of the body, you know what I'm saying? So Michel Pereira finishes him off by TKO with a flag around him that's going to cause some controversy for Belal Muhammad. We move on. Up the card. Jonathan Martinez versus Adrian Yanez. Honestly, exactly how I said it was going to go. Exactly how I said it was going to go. Jonathan Martinez, I said decision based on chewing up Adrian Yanez's legs. I might have said TKO. I'm not even sure. I might have said TKO. But I did say that he would chew up his legs badly in this fight because Yanez has a problem dealing with leg kicks. And his style is very bad to deal with leg kicks. And Martinez, I don't know if you've seen the Cub Swanson fight that he had, has some of the nastiest leg kicks in the game. And he showed that in this fight. There were some moments where I was like, oh, hang on, Yanez, just caught him to the liver there. But not everyone's going to fold up to those like the absolute schmucks you were beating on the regional scene and in the early days of your UFC career as well. I don't know who he fought when he came into the UFC, but they weren't the best, were they, Yanez's opponents? Victor Rodriguez, 7-4, you know what I mean? And then he fought Randy Costa, who was 6-4, and he had a lot of trouble there as well. Gustavo Lopez was 12-6. Should have lost to Davy Grant. I stand by that. Should have lost that fight to Davy Grant. Robbery. Beat Tony Kelly 8-3. And then eventually they give him this step up and he gets smoked by Rob Font. And then now that leg was getting chewed up badly. He was landing okay combos now and again. And I do feel bad for him because I do think he's got talent. But the low kicks are always going to be a problem for his style because he's so boxing heavy, and Martinez was just hammering the inside leg over and over again. Respect to Yanez for staying in there as long as he did. It looked like it was over by the end of round 1. But then round 2 was just too much for him. The low kicks kept adding up. Eventually his legs started giving way and he was actually holding it on the ground, and the ref looked at him and he went, no, I'm fine, and got back up to his feet. But it was only a matter of time before more of those low kicks started landing. And eventually, Martinez started chopping him on Yanez as he was like stood up against the cage on one leg. And then boom, he goes down. The referee's seen enough. Amazing win from Jonathan Martinez. Chews up the legs. I wish he would have thrown a head kick at one point because I feel like it was waiting to land. Like, you've chewed up this dude's leg. He's constantly wincing and dropping down to try and deal with it. If you just went massive head kick out of nowhere, that could have been a sick KO. But either way, great performance by Jonathan Martinez. Got hit on the chin a few times with combos, but stayed tucked up, stayed composed. Davy Grant owns both of these soys. We move on. Up the card. Jennifer Maia versus Vivian Araujo. I don't have a problem with the decision here. A lot of people had Jennifer Maia 2-1. But I don't mind Vivian Araujo winning this one because round one... Actually, I don't know. She did get the takedown in round one, but the problem that I have with this is, and this is always going to be the problem for me, Maia landed more and did more damage in round one. Round two was her round as well, I think. In all honesty. I think it was her round as well. Round three, she was on her way to winning. But in round one, she got her back taken, didn't she, at one point? And then it was like a long time of having her back taken. And the problem is in women's MMA, there's such little damage done because they throw like 5-year-old boys anyway, that when a judge sees someone get a takedown or get the back, even though in the male fight, they'd say, no control time, it doesn't even count. Control time doesn't count. For a female fight, they're like, oh, something. You know what I mean? So they're like, okay, let's go off of this. So I'm not mad at the decision. I did think Maia could have won that 2-1, but at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Vivian Araujo can win 2-1, mainly because, not even though, did Maia win round 3 as well? I don't know. This was an interesting one if you look at the stats, because I was kind of drifting in and out of sleep watching it because it is women's MMA. But yeah, just an interesting one. But at the end of the day, Maia jumped to bottom position in the third round after winning the round clearly for herself and just got beaten up towards the end of it. So should Maia have won? Maybe 2-1, yeah, but I'm not going to be that complaining about it because she kind of threw it away for herself. So yeah, kind of a bad decision, but I'm not too mad at it. Araujo won. Maia's ugly. We move on. Up the card. Sodiq Yusuff versus Edson Barboza. What a performance by Edson Barboza. What an absolutely amazing performance by Edson Barboza. First of all, Sodiq had one of the best first rounds he could ever have possibly had. End of that discussion. Had one of the best first rounds he ever possibly could have had. The recounted stats are a bit wrong here for round 2, in my opinion, because Yusuff was doing... This is the problem Yusuff had. He was doing a lot of numbers, tallying up, but he was doing this weird teep to the rear leg of Barboza, and it was like, yeah, you're doing something, and you're counting points, but it's not really doing anything to Barboza. It just looked like he was trying to aim for a groin shot. So although he was tallying up these little numbers of significant strikes, those little tapping kicks he was doing, it wasn't really getting much for him, you know? Whereas Barboza's shots were the good shots that were landed. Now, I wouldn't have minded if they gave round 2 to Yusuff. I wouldn't have called it a robbery. It would have been a draw in that case. Not giving Yusuff 10-8 in round 1, Chris Lee, is absolutely unfair. Same way you gave Alekseeva. I don't even know what Chris Lee's doing. But not giving Yusuff 10-8 in round 1 is kind of crazy. I understand not giving Barboza a 10-8 in round 3 because it was such a competitive fight before then. And maybe Yusuff could have even been a little bit ahead before he landed that wheel kick. But Yusuff dominated round 1 from the get-go and beat him up that round in top position as well. So I don't know why that wasn't a 10-8 round from Chris Lee. But at the end of the day, 48-46... Don't mind it for Barboza. He gets smacked up in round 1 so badly battered. His face is a mess after round 1. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, dude. People in chat are roasting me for picking Barboza as an underdog. And I'm thinking, oh God, dude, here we go again. The one underdog that makes sense, because I know Barboza's style beats Yusuff on the feet, is not working out because he got cracked in round 1 and he's being beaten up by Yusuff, who literally charged forward in round 1 in the pocket, which was so smart of him because Barboza couldn't charge up any kicks and he was just getting outboxed. But then, in round 2, 3, 4, and 5, I've never seen Barboza look better in my life. He was so beaten up, looked so exhausted at times as well, but so did Yusuff. That was the problem. Although Yusuff wasn't showing it, he was really tired as well from the body shots of Barboza. Landed 100 body shots on Sodiq Yusuff in that fight, allegedly. The recount doesn't give him those numbers, but he landed 100 body shots, 89 on the recount to Sodiq Yusuff, and I think Yusuff was really feeling those body shots, even though he had a good poker face, which is why he couldn't go forward anymore. At one point, he was going forward and he was winning, and then he started going back like, oh God, I don't want to take body shots coming forward. I need to back away from this dude and try and catch him with a jab. But Barboza's jab was better. He had a longer reach, was stinging the jab a lot more. Kicks to the body were good, spinning back kick now and again, and then that wheel kick in round 3. I thought it missed because the heel didn't land. So I was like, oh, that was so close. Oh shit, he actually hurt him because the ball of the foot, like the palm of the foot, slapped across the temple of Sodiq Yusuff, and he just didn't see it coming, I guess. And he went all jelly-legged down to the canvas. Barboza started swinging on him, went for a dash choke. Massive mistake. Massive mistake. Could have got it, to be fair, but massive mistake. Should have just went for an immediate follow-up shovel hook to Sodiq Yusuff, because I think a couple more shots there, he would have been out of it completely. Started raining down shots at the end of round 3. Won that round for himself for sure. And then 4 and 5, he really did look amazing. Round 4, jabbing at Sodiq Yusuff. Left hook to the liver was so nice off an off angle. As soon as Yusuff would throw the jab, he'd slip on the outside, find the left hook to the body. Landing good shots to the body and head with his combos as well. Yusuff was occasionally landing a big shot back where you were like, oh, big shot from Yusuff. But the majority of the time, it was like they were both landing, and Barboza was landing better when they were landing at range. Was the main consensus of this fight. In the clinch, Barboza was landing better knees, better punches, and Yusuff didn't do much with the clinch. Against Don Shainis, I know it's Don Shainis, but he had a really good clinch game. But against Barboza, he was like sort of hesitant to go for knees in the clinch because Barboza was sort of beating him in that position. Round 5, when he needed it most, even though he was already ahead in my opinion, round 5 was very close. He was already ahead, and Yusuff was looking good in round 5. But he still got the takedown when he needed it, got the trip, made Yusuff work to get back up, dragged him down again against the cage, landed knees to the body, dragged him down at the end of the round, did everything he needed to do to win this fight. Amazing performance by Edson Barboza, making me look like a genius for picking him as an underdog. I was worried that there's been so many underdogs recently that didn't make any sense in recent events that have been going down, from like Mateus using mind powers to snap the knee of Fiziev and Strickland dominating Adesanya. Like, there's been so many weird moments. I was like, God, I want to pick Edson as an underdog, but I feel like there's too many underdogs winning, even though it's logical as an underdog, in my opinion. And the fact that he could do it as an underdog, even after that terrible first round that he had, just shows how much better he was in hindsight. So, really good underdog pick there in the main event. Glad I got it right. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. What a G Edson Barboza is. See you later. Goodbye.